I don't know if you guys have been on YouTube recently, but if you have seen that the stock market is about to crash. There's going to be a bubble and the world is going to be over. And since we can no longer buy index funds and trade options, I figure crack a beer and kiss it all goodbye. No, but in all seriousness, guys, there might be a crash coming. There's been actually a little bit of a dip. And actually with that dip has come a lot of questions to me like, what do I do to prepare? And what am I going to do if the stock market were to tank and go down? So instead of telling you all the reasons why I think it's going to tank, because I frankly don't know, and either does anybody else, I'm going to tell you some ways that I'm going to mitigate against that and protect my assets and protect my wealth in case we do have a little bit of a correction. I don't think that correction would last forever, but if it does, here are some ways that I'm going to protect myself. And one of those ways is from our video sponsor today, VinoVest, but we'll get to that in just a second. Now, among my friends and peers here on YouTube, I am known as being a little bit old, but I promise I'm not going to drop like classic cars and even gold on you. I'm not quite that boomer. I guess you could invest in those assets outside of the stock market, but I kind of want to give you more practical things and things that I've actually done. Not things that you can go try and report back to me on, but things I've actually done and invest in currently. The first one is like the elephant in the room and what I'll get booed for, so let's just get the boo out of the way. But guys, outside the market, one of the best things to do with your cash is just hold it in cash. And I know that sounds crazy with everything that's going on with inflation and money printing, but guys, if we have a 20% correction or a 30% correction, your cash is not going to dive by that much. And I frankly believe in the 4% rule, and I believe in early retirement and living off the 4% rule, which is why, like, as I approach retirement and quitting my full W-2 job, my goal is to have 1 year's expenses in cash. Because if we do have a correction, I don't really want to touch that 4% rule because I don't want to touch my nest egg. So I am going to be keeping a large sum of money in cash. I think in these volatile times, I tend to be a guy that says, go invest your emergency funds and stuff like that. But there is a time and a place to hold a significant amount of cash. In case you have a correction, you don't have to eat away at your principal balance. You don't need to eat away at your nest egg. Depending on what side of the fence you're on, this next one might seem a little bit speculative. I know if you talk to my buddy Sam over at My Financial Friend, even Marco Whiteboard Finance, huge Bitcoin people, huge crypto people. I wouldn't say I'm on either side. I guess I'm kind of right in the middle, but investing in crypto is definitely one way to hedge against our traditional stock market. I'm not opposed to it. I hold about 5% of my net worth in just Bitcoin. I know people are about Ethereum and some of the other ones, the Dogecoin. Actually, I think I own about $30 worth of Dogecoin after losing a bet. That's completely here nor there. But I do own some Bitcoin, and I do think it's a way to hedge against a correction in the stock market. And I know that can sound kind of like hypocritical, I guess, because I am an index fund investor. But like I said, with just a small percentage of that being in a speculative position, I think my basis for Bitcoin is like $9,000. So that's done really, really well for me. I'm not really selling it. I'm not really buying any more. I'm kind of just chilling. I made a video about it if you want. If you haven't invested in it, I do have links for Coinbase and things like that. But yeah, a good way. Pick which one you like. I like Bitcoin for the reasons I discussed in those previous videos. And like I said, I'm not adding to it, but I'm not really taking off of it. Maybe one day if it gets to the 100K number that everybody thinks, maybe I'd sell off. But right now, at my stage of my investing journey, I'm kind of just keeping it there as a hedge. Now, those two are pretty much like zero barrier to entry and really, really easy to get into. And the next two that I really want to talk about, that barrier to entry definitely starts to go up, or at least I thought so. Like, there is definitely fine art. Like, you can invest in fine art, but it's really, really hard. I feel like the ultra wealthy are the only people that are investing in fine art, unless you're like into the NFT game, which I still think is a scam. I don't know if it is. I'm not going to do the research. I don't care that much. You can tell me in the comments down below if NFTs are a scam. But yeah, I can't touch fine art. One, it's expensive, and I don't have that kind of money outside the market to be throwing into that, frankly. But two, it's difficult. Like, I don't know an art dealer. Who the hell am I going to call to do that? I just can't make it happen. And I used to think the same exact thing for fine wines. And you're like, Brad, you are a beer crushing fanatic. What are you talking about with wine? I'll give you a quick little backstory, and you can forward 15 seconds if you don't want to hear it. As some of you know, I used to own a brewery, and when I got into the brewery, what I found out is there was like this niche little craft beer market. If you are a craft beer nerd, about 2 years ago, you saw New England IPAs were all the craze, and we were going around trading beers and upselling beers, and I was like, wait, there's a market to like flip beers and flip New England IPAs. And we made a lot of money, but the shelf life for them was really, really small. And I remember saying to my partner, like, man, I wish that beer could age for years and we could get these rare beers and hold on to them. And there actually are breweries in the world. And that's really when I first started investing inside liquids. And it started with beer. There's a famous brewery, Cantillon, and I have a bunch of Cantillons that are really just sitting and aging, and they can age for 5 to 7 years. The batch size goes down, their value goes up, and those are like long-term investments for me. I also have a few fancy bottles of whiskey, which is a little bit harder than beer because you can find Cantillons anywhere. But to find some of these high value whiskeys, you kind of have to know somebody, which is why I thank my dad for having me go stock liquor in a liquor store when I was in high school and I didn't want to do it because now I know the owners of liquor stores. So that's really where the whole like liquids came in when I first started opening the brewery. And I would have loved to have gone into wine, but kind of like fine art, it was really, really hard to do that. The barrier to entry, who the hell do you know? And that's where our video sponsor, VinoVest, comes in. They've really taken that barrier to entry and just eliminated the entire process. As an asset class in itself, wine has crushed the S&P 500 in returns. And it was really something I was super excited about when I heard about VinoVest. I've put my own money in. I'm currently invested inside them. And it's amazing. You give them some money. They take that money, they use their knowledge, their research, and their facility. They go out, they source the wine for you, they purchase it, they store it in their temperature-controlled place with their own security, own camera, and pretty much I just have wine. And one day I can resell that wine, or maybe I hold it for 10 years and at my daughter's graduation, I want $1,000 bottle of red, I can buy it back. It's actually my wine, and that's really what I love the most about it. And do I think I'm going to have hundreds and thousands of dollars invested in wine with VinoVest? No, that's like unrealistic for somebody like me. But you know, 5,000, 10,000, I started off with just 1,000. See how it goes. It's going well for me right now. I got in the middle of summer. It's been doing good for me in the last quarter, something that I'm going to probably continue to keep doing. And if you're interested in trying it out, I have a link down in the description. Try it out. See what they have to offer. Their website's amazing with all the information, more information than I probably know. Trust me, it is a barrier to entry that I'm glad I can now do. And if you want to invest outside the markets, trust me, try wine. Try wine. Thank you so much to VinoVest for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. The next asset class is another one that really had a high barrier of entry until pretty much recently, probably in the last 10 years, and that's real estate. Now, in a traditional sense, you had to get a down payment, save up tens of thousands of dollars, find the location, make all those things happen. It's become a lot easier in the recent years with companies. Let's take, for example, Fundrise. I tried out Fundrise. I gave it a go. And what Fundrise is you pretty much give them money and you invest in certain projects, and right, that portfolio goes up with appreciation and dividends, and those dividends come in from rent. It was a good thing. I like it. I think it's for some people. I didn't like how long my money was really tied up, if I'm giving my honest opinion. But I know plenty of people that use Fundrise and absolutely love it. It just wasn't for me. I'm kind of like a little bit further along in my real estate journey than Fundrise. But for somebody else, maybe you're like, screw the wine thing, Brad, but real estate sounds good. You might want to go with something like Fundrise. I'm personally at the point where I want to start purchasing properties. Now, I live in New York. Property taxes are insane, right? So I can't go down the street and buy a duplex. I don't have $600,000. I can't even buy a house that burnt down for less than $400,000 here in New York. That's okay. I can dig it because there's other ways that I can invest. Now, you can go all the way to like finding a team. Like you guys know, JJ Buckner and I, we're trying to team up and buy some things closer to him in the Kansas City, Missouri area. But you can look at turnkey things like Roofstock, right? I look at Roofstock pretty much every day. Now, I feel like there's a lot of due diligence. It makes me feel a little bit more like a real estate investor. I haven't pulled the trigger on anything with Roofstock yet, but I definitely look at those things and I analyze the deal, and at least I'm learning, right? Get on Roofstock and just see the things that they expect to take money out for. It really is turnkey. Now, the con with turnkey is you generally don't make as much cash flow, but they do a lot of the work for you. For example, with Roofstock, they find the tenants for you. They get property managers. You don't have to use all their stuff, but these are all services they can give you, which cuts into your bottom line. But for somebody that's just getting their feet wet and giving it a go, try it out. Roofstock. That's a way that you can invest in properties if you're somebody like me and really just feels lost and doesn't know what to do. The great thing about Roofstock and Fundrise is you don't need to be what is called an accredited investor. You can kind of do some Googling on what an accredited investor is. It pretty much has limitations on, what your net worth is. I think it's $1 million net worth, or you can have a certain income, and that net worth can't include your primary residence. It's a way that companies can fund money together and buy real estate together. And to protect you, the investor, they only do this with certain people that are called accredited investors. I don't frankly know that many because I'm not friends with that many really wealthy people, but I know there's some out there and maybe some of you want to be. So I definitely want to mention the next company. And I also want to mention it because I got to bump into and meet the founder and CEO of this company, Carter. It was an amazing time. They hosted an event at FinCon. He got me free beers and pizza, and that is definitely the way to my heart. So cheers to you, Carter, for buying me a couple beers. But he was telling me about his platform called Acre Trader. Now, full disclosure, you have to be an accredited investor to get down with them. I frankly can't, and their minimum investments are pretty high. They work in pretty much one project at a time. If you go on their website right now, I think the project that they're funding right now has a minimum investment of $40,000. So essentially they're buying farms and then they're going to rent those farms out to the farmers themselves. So they buy the properties and then people come in and rent that property from them. And you, the investor, you make money on the appreciation of that property as well as the rent that is paid to you, the owner of that property. It's very, very similar to Fundrise, but with farmland specific. It's a shame I really don't get to meet more founders because it really was awesome to sit down, talk to him, former physics major. So I think he overheard me say something about being a physics teacher and he came right over and we hit it off. And, I asked some pretty out front question. I said, do you guys get down with the owning GMO? He was very, very honest about their ethics of the company, what their goals are, but, and how they really want to take care of the farmer and they want to preserve the land. So like I said, it is tough to get in. It is a high barrier to entry, but I think Acre Trader, if you are an accredited investor and you're looking to diversify outside and maybe buying commercial or, buying single family homes, duplexes and things like that, maybe you just want to invest in some land, check out Acre Trader, see if it's for you. I'll leave links to that website as well. You could check them out. If you hated all these things, I'm sorry. Why did you watch the video this long? Maybe you just love me. All right, here's an options playlist. You could check out this options playlist right here and, get back into the investing side. Until I see you guys on the next one, stay positive, work really, really hard. Always please be kind to other people. Hope you have yourself an amazing day and an even better tomorrow.